Number 10, let's do Scam Baiter, who says, what are your thoughts on the butterfly effect and the possibility of multiple universes? Okay, so I guess there's different versions of this butterfly effect. Let me just say how I understand the butterfly effect when you say this, is the idea that, and maybe I'm not understanding how you, because you're connecting it to multiple universes, but how like one little thing, like here I have earbuds. If I put them here instead of here, maybe that's going to like turn into like, say, a tornado hits Tahiti in 5 years, I suppose that's possible. I mean, in some remote way that little thing could have made the difference. But it's so highly unlikely that it would, that it's not worth worrying about. That's my general attitude towards a butterfly effect in that understanding of it, is that if I'm worried about tiny inconsequential decisions having world-changing effects, this is just going to paralyze me because I have no reason to think they will. I'll become overly worried about every little thing. And to no avail, because you can't control those things, you can't predict those things. And so it ends up being just a source of paranoia for people. That'd be my fear. Multiple universes, maybe the butterfly effect is connected to multiple universes somehow. I don't think there's any evidence for multiple universes. I think people like the idea, so they believe it. I think that's just it. I remember hearing people say, like, just random people, okay? They say things like, I hear that every decision we make spawns like a different universe, where we would have made the other decision. And this is one of those weird things where people they like it, so they believe it. That's it. I don't want to have beliefs based on things I like. I think that's a dangerous way to go about life. That leads to confirmation bias, whereas I want that to be true, so I'll believe it. All right? How do you know that you're going to be okay when you die, even though you've rejected Jesus? Well, it's because I want that to be true. That's a scary way to form your beliefs, and easy way to be deceived. Multiple universes, I've never seen any good evidence for multiple universes. I've generally seen it personally presented as a hypothesis to avoid the existence of God. So it can be done in response to the fine-tuning argument for God's existence. So the fine-tuning argument has to do with I'm just going to give you a super quick overview of this, but these are really specific things. The constants and quantities that are in the universe. So like the amount of dark matter, okay, that's a quantity in the universe. And then there's the constants in the universe, like say the force of gravity, strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, things like that. These different things, there's tons of these different elements, and you can imagine them like if you were looking at a big soundboard with all these dials. Imagine like you have gravity dialed to a very specific amount, the strong nuclear force dialed, the amount of matter versus space versus this versus that, the speed of light, like all these little things are just dialed in. And if they weren't just right, if they weren't dialed just the way they are, there couldn't be any intelligent life in the universe. And so it starts to look highly unlikely that this universe could randomly exist because it's dialed so specifically. Let me give you an example of a very simple way to see this. Let's say you watch a video and it's one of those like contraptions where someone like rolls a little like tennis ball, and it rolls down a ramp, and then it hits a little thing and dominoes go by, and then something else cool happens and it hits something else and it launches a thing over there, and 100 little things happen, and finally in the end it like turns on a coffee maker or something. If you see something like that happen, it was designed, because you're looking at it going, this wouldn't have happened on accident. There's too many things that could easily go wrong. If it was random, something would have gone wrong. And this is what the fine-tuning argument is like. It's like saying, if this was random, if the universe wasn't designed for life, we wouldn't have life. There's too many specific dials that have to be in just the right spot. And if you moved it a millimeter, no life in the universe. So the multiverse theory comes out and says, hey, well, maybe there's an unlimited number of universes and they all have different settings. And we just happen to be in a universe that has the right settings. So if you look at this weird contraption, again, use my analogy, on the wall, and you see this like weird mousetrap kind of contraption, and you think, but what if in every room, in every house across the planet, there's one of these contraptions, but it's all randomly just thrown together? Surely one of them can work. And so you multiply your chances so that you can have a super unlikely event happen. The problem with this is there isn't evidence for a multiverse. And then it as a lot of these sort of solutions to get rid of God it just pushes the question back. Where on earth do we get countless universes? Right? Because you were having a hard time explaining one universe. Now you have to explain an unlimited, potentially, number of universes, and that they all have different dials on them set differently. And even then you got to start doing the math on how many do we have to get a random one that actually has the constants and quantities that we've got now. And so, yeah, this is why a lot of atheists have said, even the more sarcastic ones, that the argument for fine-tuning of the universe for God's existence is like the strongest argument they think for God's existence. It's very powerful. You guys could check it out if you want to know more about it. Fine-tuning argument.